I am very disappointed because, again, even as a civilian, for 7 years I've been hearing about health care. And I've been hearing about repeal and replace. I've been saying for a long time, let Obamacare fail, and then everybody's going to have to come together and fix it and come up with a new plan, and a plan that's really good for the people with much lower premiums, much lower costs, and much better protection. I've been saying that, Mike, I think you'll agree, for a long time. Let Obamacare fail. It'll be a lot easier. And I think we're probably in that position where we'll just let Obamacare fail.
That was the president earlier today reacting to the Senate's failure to repeal and replace Obamacare after 7 long years of promises. He's disappointed. He has a right to be. Now, my next two guests support this clean repeal, what they did in 2015 of this disastrous law. Joining us now is Reaction Freedom Caucus Chairman, Congressman Mark Meadows, North Carolina, and Freedom Caucus, well, former chairman. They fired him, Congressman Jim Jordan of Ohio. You didn't get fired. I'm kidding. We're friends. All right. Look, I know how hard the health care bill in the House wouldn't have got passed without the Freedom Caucus. And I know the endless hours you all worked to make it happen. It wasn't perfect, but it was a single, maybe a double if I'm being generous. But it was progress. This is a 7-year promise. I like the clean repeal idea, but 3 Republican senators, you have what, Collins, Murkowski, and Capito, I think is her name, all saying they're against it. We don't have the votes already for that. Congressman Meadows.
Well, I mean, one of the problems is 2 of those senators you just mentioned actually voted on this very same bill last year. And so to suggest that they're going to vote no now when they voted yes to send it to a President Barack Obama then, why not send the same bill to President Trump? Because I can tell you we'll get a different result. We're being outworked by the President of the United States. We've got to get it done here. And enough is enough. A clean repeal, if we can't find a repeal and replacement vehicle, now's the time to act, Sean.
Yeah, and Congressman Jordan?
No, I mean, look, it never hurts to do what you said, right? We told the American people we were going to repeal it. Let's pass the same thing we passed in 2015. And it's a very different animal when you actually call the vote up. I always tell people, if you never kick the ball off and play the game, you're never going to actually know who wins. So sometimes the conventional wisdom doesn't hold true. Let's call the roll. Let's see what happens. They might say they're going to vote against it. Call it up both in the House and the Senate, and let's say, okay, are you really going to vote different than you voted just 15, 16, 17 months ago? Are you really going to do something different than you told the American people you were going to do the last 6 years? Never forget, 2010, 2014, 2016 elections, this was a central issue where we promised them repeal. So let's call it up and see if what they say now actually happens when it's the roll call and they're out there on the floor of the Senate or the House actually casting the vote.
Is there anybody at all on the Democratic side of the aisle that's willing in any way to help? Is Joe Manchin any Democrat you can think of, or are they just, you know, literally
Sean, maybe
sheep?
Well, if you repeal it first, then maybe you can put together a coalition with some Democrats and Republicans to address the things that need addressed. But until you repeal, there's no incentive for the Democrats because they love Obamacare, even though it's been a disaster for people who pay the premiums and pay the deductibles and who live under it. So repeal it first, then you might be able to put together the coalition to actually accomplish some things that both sides agree with.
Congressman Meadows, this could actually work out better. You repeal it first, and they all voted for it, as you said, in 2015.
Right.
Then you could really add the cooperatives I'm talking about, add the health savings accounts we've been talking about, add the catastrophic care that I've been talking about.
Interstate shopping.
I think it could work out better.
Well, you're right. All those points. The president made that point last night when he commented on this the very first time. He says we'll get some Democrat involvement. You know, when we're talking about repeal, it's very difficult for a Democrat to vote on anything that repeals something that has their president's name on it. But once it's repealed, it's all about coming together and finding out what works best. And my good friend Jim just mentioned that. It's about that competition across state lines. It's about making sure that we have association plans that actually can provide a group kind of policy that would drive premiums down, protect those pre-existing conditions. But we've got to be all hands on deck. You know, having failure is not an option right now. And so whether it's on the Senate side or the House side, let's go ahead with a clean, straight repeal and get it done and make sure that we send something to the president so he can sign it.
Well, I got to say something publicly. I've said it on my radio show. Honestly, without the Freedom Caucus, I have zero confidence in anybody in D.C. That is so sad, You are the only guys that are fighting and have a sense of urgency and are trying to thread the needle and get the job done. And I give you guys a lot of credit. There are a few guys in the Senate. I'll give them credit, too. But really, the Freedom Caucus, you know, you guys are the ones fighting. And there are those of us that appreciate it. Thank you. But when we